Hello, my name is Thomas Kavanaugh, and I am a associate professor of management, but I have a PhD in organizational psychology. And when I was in grad school, I studied online instruction, and it's an area where I'm really passionate about it. I've created online content for my own courses for years. And when COVID hit, I had a lot of people coming to me and asking me, how do I do this? Because suddenly they had to create online course materials. And so I decided to create this brief module to both demonstrate and explain how I create online modules. All of the information that I share in here is based on theories from educational psychology and cognitive psychology and backed up by empirical data. So everything that I'm talking about here is based in research. I didn't just make it up because I like it or figured out what worked for me. So you can have confidence that this really represents best practices. And if you would like more detail, if you would like citations and sources, I'm happy to share that information. So I provided my email address. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to help. I got into creating online modules a few years ago because I was interested in the flipped classroom. So I wanted my students to watch my lectures at home, and then when they came into the classroom, we'd use that time for discussions and role plays and activities. But in the last couple of years, we've seen this need for institutions to pivot to online instruction. So obviously we have the global pandemic going on right now where, in the middle of the semester, professors were forced to pivot to online instruction. But even before that, I teach in Northern California, and due to some of the changes associated with climate change, we had to shut down campus for days because of issues with wildfires. So just I kind of think in order to adapt to our new reality, we're going to have to be more comfortable with distance learning and creating online instruction. I think that's a great thing, though. People see this as a bad thing, but there's a ton of research showing that online instruction is just as effective as face-to-face instruction when it is done well. And in addition, there are some strong benefits to online instruction. For example, students with, say, hearing disabilities or learning disabilities, sometimes online instruction can be tailored specifically to them, so we see benefits there. And it also can be much more convenient for non-traditional students. So I teach MBAs. A lot of my students have jobs, have families, and putting instruction online allows them to access it more easily, oftentimes at a time and place of their own choosing. It's more convenient. So I understand this is an incredibly challenging time for professors right now, but it's also a great opportunity to better serve our students. I'm going to walk you through 5 steps that I use for creating online modules. And as I'm telling you how I do this, I'm also going to be showing you this module is built around these steps and these principles. So hopefully you can not only hear about what I do, but actually see what I do and see what value you see in it. So I basically use a 5-step process. And the first step in that process is to identify the major concepts that I want to communicate to my learners. I then design a graphic organizer that provides a visual framework to help learners organize and remember material. I then create concise narrated animations for each of the concepts that I want to communicate. I then upload those concise narrated animations to YouTube. And finally, embed those animations in Google Forms. So this is the broad overview of what I'm going to be telling you today, and I'll go in depth into each of those 5 steps.